Hey, what's up? Baneslayer here. Today we're gonna look at the best cards for cEDH in the new Magic the Gathering set, the Lost Caverns of Ixalan. So right off the bat, the first card that caught my attention was this white card, Dauntless, Dismantler. It says, artifacts your opponent's control enter the battlefield tapped, so it has this kind of blind obedience effect. It doesn't affect creatures, but you know, artifacts in cEDH is very relevant because, you know, dockside, right? Treasures, treasure tokens, Smothering Tide as well, like a ton of artifacts, Mana Crypt, the Soul Rings enter tap. It's just such a huge deal, especially if you can get it like turn 1. It's pretty miserable for opponents, similar to a Blind Obedience or Dranith. I like that it's a 1/4 because it doesn't get pinged by Orthish Bowmasters. I mean, you need 4 pings from Orthish to kill this thing. Then the second ability is actually pretty relevant. I can see this card in like control decks like Tivit, for example, Timna Thrasios, you know, things like that. I've played it in Tivit already. I tested it the other day and I just sacked it immediately because there was like 6 treasures a guy had. It also killed like Mana Crypts and something. So if you crack it for 1, you want to kill like a Soul Ring and something else that an opponent has. It doesn't kill your treasures that cost 0, right? So it's destroy each artifact with mana value X. So you pay 1, you're just destroying the 1 cost artifacts. I think it's very relevant to be able to choose this way what to kill. So I definitely see this card being played for sure. I'm playing it already in Tivit and I don't see myself taking it out of the deck. So it's like a second Blind Obedience, very good. Another white card I think is going to see play, and I ordered one the other day, is Get Lost. This is a removal spell, a 2 mana instant. Destroy target creature, enchantment, or planeswalker. Its controller creates 2 map tokens. Artifacts that can be sacrificed at sorcery speed, which is very relevant. Kill something at instant speed. You don't want your opponents to be able to use that in the same way that they could use the clue from another 2 mana instant removal spell that was playing standard recently. They could use the clue immediately, which is a big deal, right? But with this, you kill the stuff and they have to wait until their turn and they have to pay 1 mana. It's not very good. In cEDH, you don't want to be tapping out on your turn, especially for this mediocre effect. The Explorer is not very relevant. You have to pay 1 on your turn. So this to me is not really a drawback to the card in cEDH. It could be beneficial because you're giving 2 artifacts to an opponent, which increases the count of your own dockside. I got this for Sisay. I think it's very good in Sisay. It's definitely gonna like substitute the Abrade that I was running. This doesn't kill the artifacts, but it does kill any creature, you know, where Abrade just hit like 3 toughness maximum. This kills any creature and enchantment, so you can kill a Rhystic Study or Mystic Grimoire, for example, very relevant in cEDH. And even Planeswalkers, you know, you can kill sometimes a Teferi maybe if they don't win for some reason after they cast it. So I think this removal, you know, people are not talking about it, but think I'm gonna test it. I'm gonna play it in Sisay and see how it goes. Onto the blue cards. Another card that I bought the other day because I think I will use it in some cEDH deck. I don't know which one exactly, but I like this card. Kile Larson is flying, ward 1, so it blocks, you know, some kind of flyers. It has protection, I like this. When this creature enters the battlefield, for each player, choose up to 1 target artifact or creature that player controls. For as long as Kile Larson remains on the battlefield, the chosen permanents become treasures. This can serve like kind of a March of Swirling Mist kind of spell, or Fire Covenant, where you play this and you remove 1 creature of each opponent. And in this case, you can also target their artifacts. So you can make their 1 rings be treasures, which I think is very relevant and nice way of getting rid of the 1 ring. It's also a human pirate. That subtype is pretty relevant in things like Malcolm or something like that. Because I mean, in Sisay, you want to remove several stacks pieces at once. So this can get rid of an opposition agent, a Dranith, and like a Grafdigger Scale. That's the dream scenario, of course, but it could do that. I think I'm interested and I actually bought this card to test it out. Another blue card I think is going to see play, unfortunately for me, because I'm a Sisay player and I don't like this card at all. It's a 3/2 Murl Wizard with Flash. When it enters the battlefield, counter up to 1 target activator triggered ability. If an ability of an artifact, creature, or planeswalker is countered this way, that permanent loses all abilities as long as this creature is on the battlefield. So this is like a kind of a stifle, right, on a stick. It's a stifle and a creature. It's not trick buying because trick buying has split second. This can act as a better stifle, really, because you can counter an Atraxa trigger when it enters the battlefield. You can counter a Tivit. You know, they play Tivit. You play this to counter their ability. and suddenly that pivot doesn't keep triggering on attacks, because as long as this is on the battlefield, you shut down that ability of the permanent. You can also counter the One Ring, right? It's very good there. You can humiliate a cEDH player like myself. I'm going for the activation. You play this, you counter the search, and you also prevent me from keep searching as long as this stays on the battlefield. And it's also relevant that it has 2 toughness. You know, if it had 1 toughness, it would be way worse because of Orthish Bowmasters, but being 2 toughness, I think it's pretty relevant. I'm gonna get this card. When it gets a bit cheaper, I think it's overpriced now because the set just came out, and maybe it has potential in other like 60 card formats. That's why it's a bit expensive. But when it comes down in price, I think I'll get one of these for sure. There's a card that caught my attention as well. It's a 3-mana artifact, legendary. And it says when it enters the battlefield, discard any number of cards, then draw that many cards +1. In cEDH, it gives 1 pip because it's legendary. And you can blink it, you know, you can blink it with a Minato or something like that, Oath of Teferi even. And then it transforms into a land. So, you know, that's pretty good. And so whenever you cast a permanent spell using mana produced by this land, you discover X, where X is that spell's mana value. I think Discover is like Cascade. You reveal cards and you can cast it. It may not see play at all, but it's kind of interesting. I like it. This is a card that I think could see play along with, you know, Malcolm, kind of the Is It pirate decks, maybe Malcolm Tanner as well. It's a 3/3 legendary pirate, Goblin pirate, first strike. Whenever a pirate you control attacks, so it triggers when Malcolm attacks as well. Choose one that hasn't been chosen this turn. You can create a treasure token, so it has that Malcolm effect. Target creature can't block this turn, or exile the top card of your library, you may play it this turn. I think it could see play. It's a nice body, 3/3 first strike, you know, very difficult to block in cEDH, and it creates treasures, it synergizes with the pirates, with Malcolm, so it could see play. Let's go on to the multicolor spells. This one is pretty unique. It's a 2-mana Dimir Legend. It's an 8/8 for 2 mana, the ancient one, and it has the Send 8. The ancient one can't attack or block unless there are 8 or more permanent cards in your graveyard. I mean, in cEDH it's not that difficult. You can kind of mill yourself or loot a lot, and suddenly you're hitting for 8. So in 3 attacks, they're dead due to commander damage. And then this is the relevant part as well. 2 and Dimir color. Draw a card, then discard a card, so you loot. When you discard a card this way, target player mills cards equal to its mana value. So of course in cEDH we have the known Isochron Scepter Dramatic Reversal combo. So you can generate infinite mana and draw your whole deck and then win with Thassa's Oracle. And I think that's enough to make this playable. I mean, it's 2 mana, so you can jam it turn 1, super easy, turn 2 for sure. And then suddenly you have Fierce Guardianship Deadly Rollick active, right? And also an 8/8 that, you know, there's loads of black spells that say when you cast this or when this creature enters the battlefield, sack another creature, you draw cards equal to its power, something like that. There's even a black card in this set, an artifact that does that. So you can play those kind of cards, draw 8, gain 8 life. Like, it's pretty insane. I think there's lots of potential with this for sure. This is another interesting card, especially for like Hulk decks, right? They want to sack the Hulk. Also has a relevant ability because, you know, it keeps getting bigger. You put +1/+1 counters in it, so it's not irrelevant. You know, it can become a huge creature. And of course, my favorite card of the set as a cEDH player is Kutsil, Malamet Exemplar. It's actually a female. I looked up the kind of the story, the lore, and it's a female cat warrior. And it says your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. This is so good in cEDH. It's a Grand Abolisher, most notably a legendary creature. So for cEDH, it gives +2 power to cEDH. It's actually amazing. You can tutor for it with cEDH. You can even put it in play with Finale of Devastation or Ikoria, which I play both. And also the second ability is not like irrelevant. It's like a pseudo Timna. It says whenever one or more creatures you control, each with power greater than its base power, deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card. So it's like a kind of a Timna, a worse Timna effect, but you can attack with cEDH with this in play, and because this gives +2 power to cEDH, well, you're already drawing a card, you know? You can even play like Planeswalkers like Domri, Anarch of Bolas, where it gives +1/+0 to all your creatures, so you would also draw with that. But I mean, the main effect here, the main benefit of this card is the silence effect on your turn. You untap with this, you can cast a Dockside and win with cEDH. So I like this cat a lot, for sure. And the card that has a very, very powerful ability for cEDH is this one. Chimil, the Inner Sun, is a 6-mana artifact. It says spells you control can't be countered. So again, if you untap with this, you can win on your turn. Nobody can do anything, probably. And it also has at the beginning of your end step, discover 5. It's like a cascade. It's a pretty good ability, actually. But, you know, it's 6 mana, so I don't know. In cEDH, it's not the easiest thing. In some kind of colorless decks, like Cozy Lake or something like that. Or the Liberator, the Urza. 3 mana flash creature, maybe. But I think it's a pretty cool effect, and it's a card that, you know, I think it could see play in some niche deck. So yeah, overall pretty excited for this set. I'm pretty excited for the legendary cat, of course. So definitely looking forward to testing these new cards. Thank you guys, and see you in the next video.